feature presentation.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Focus Testing, a podcast about movies where we make a movie. I'm Tristan Miller, and joining me today is the hilarious Tim Batt. Hi, how are you? As if I didn't already ask.
Hello, I'm good, thank you. We can play it up for the podcast. We've only been chatting for about 40 seconds, so
That's true.
happy to be asked again. I'm actually super relieved because as I was just explaining, my laptop this morning stopped working entirely. It stopped turning on, and I was in a bit of a panic, but I took it apart and now it works.
And you did that all yourself. You didn't go to Geek Squad or whatever the
No, it's happened.
equivalent.
It's happened once before, and I think I know what's triggering it. And so I rang the guys who fixed it last time. I was like, my dudes, what are the notes? What did you do last time? What is the magic spell to make this thing operate again? And the guy was like, I don't know, man. According to what I'm seeing here, they just opened it and then shut it again and it started working. I was like, oh no. So I disconnected the battery. I reconnected the battery, and now here we are.
Perfect. You love to see it, folks. Now, Tim, you do a very fun podcast called The Worst Idea of All Time.
Yeah.
And the main conceit, even though you're doing this very fun thing, Killionaire, big fan, very fun, specifically of the video contact. Love to see your little faces. But the main conceit is that you watch the same film once a week for a year.
Mm-hmm.
As this is a podcast about films, has that destroyed your enjoyment of cinema in any way?
Yes, it has. Well, it's gotten better now because we have diverged a little bit over the years from the original conceit. We are actually, there's a new season coming soon-ish, which will be a bit of a return to form, but with a slight twist on it. So, we watched Grown Ups 2 52 weeks in a row to start off with. We gave it the same treatment for Sex and the City 2, Sex and the City 1. And the interesting thing that happens is your brain is constantly craving novel information about a movie that you've already seen, a dozen, 2 dozen, 40 times. And so you start paying really close attention to what's happening behind the main character, whatever the frame is sort of like including, but not putting the spotlight on. So you start paying close attention to background actors, for example. And Guy and I both found that when we would go to movies for a while, it's faded a little bit now, but we couldn't pay attention to the main person who was in shot because we were just watching all the background action because we'd sort of trained our brains to do that, which is kind of, look, is it what the filmmaker wanted us to pay attention to? No. Is it a fun way to watch movies? Kinda, because not all background actors know what they're doing.
100%. I feel like you can get a similar experience to that if you just go to film school and you're like, oh, they're using this lens or whatever, and you can't shut off that part of your brain. So, I say that to be like, you're not alone, I guess. There's some camaraderie. I've been doing that as well since I was 8 because I'm like, yes, I understand what Angelina Jolie is doing, but what the hell is that in the background?
Yeah.
Do you remember the first film that you saw in a theater?
So, I believe it was Super Mario Bros.
Hell yeah.
With who was it? Who was Mario in that?
Bob Hoskins.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Really weird film that I haven't returned to knowingly in my adult. I don't think I've watched it again. And I don't even know how I have that memory, but I'm pretty sure that was the first, because I don't have the best memory in the world, but I am pretty sure that's the first thing I saw in the cinema. I remember my 2 older brothers going to Jurassic Park, but I wasn't allowed to because it was too scary. And you want to know something? Correct. It was I was 6. That would have messed me up. Way too scary for me.
Have you seen the film since?
Too scary, I'm afraid.
Too scary. You can't. You've disavowed seeing Jurassic Park ever.
What's scarier than dinosaurs, my man? I'll tell you, Sarah Jessica Parker for a year.
That's fair. What if Sarah Jessica Parker was a dinosaur in a movie? Would that be you would have to close up shop?
Oh, that's fun. Like a Carriesaurus.
Yeah, a Carriesaurus Rex, yeah.
Yeah, I would be into that. That feels like an animated pitch to me. That feels like a nice sort of Adult Swim style content.
Oh, sure. For sure. 100%. So I have some trivia questions, I say loosely, that I'd like to go through as well with you. And the first
I would
one
love to answer them.
Good. I'm glad. We're so on the same page.
We're a good team.
Yeah. So the first is, what is movie?
Yes, correct. Movie is like soundy, but viewish. So viewish can be picky, but picky is not movie. So picky is viewish without movie. Movie, soundy, movement, movie.
Gotcha. Movie is like soundy but viewish.
Soundy and viewish. Movie.
Copy that. Gotcha. I think you may have some opinions about this one, being from beautiful Aotearoa. Out of the characters from the Lord of the Rings films, who has the best hair?
The best hair. I mean, this hopefully won't get my citizenship revoked or anything, but I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I'm not like a big fantasy guy. But who is Gandalf's like enemy? Not Sauron, but beg your pardon?
Saruman.
Is he the human guy, or is he the eye?
He's a human guy. He's played by Christopher Lee.
That's what I'm thinking of. I believe Christopher Lee's dastardly Saruman has the best hair.
Hell yeah.
It's like, from memory, it's long and wispy, right?
That is correct, yes.
It's everything you want a wizard's hair to be. And I think everyone out, like, you know, all the hobbits effectively have got medieval bowl cuts. Like, it's all very boring. Not very fashion forward. But those wizards bring the noise. And I think Saruman's hair is the best.
I would agree. It's got this beautiful sort of straight, sheer white, you know.
Yeah.
What
you can
dream
tell
of.
that he uses a straightener when he wakes up. Like he's got that thing in a GHD all morning, and his hair's on point. He knows his products. He's crushed it.
In a similar vein, which movie has the most likable villain, do you think?
Out of the Lord of the Rings movie? Or
no, out of all of them. A bit of both. I mean, they could be the same answer.
Oh, wow. That's such a good question. Who's got the most likable villain? Okay. Why don't we, for a bit of fun, relegate this to the worst idea films?
Sure.
Would that be okay?
That is absolutely acceptable.
So out of the ring-fenced movies that we've watched for the worst idea of all time, I would say, oh, excuse me, microphone's cutting out there. There we go. Who have we got for villains? It sort of depends if it's like villains to Guy and myself or to the movie. You know what I mean?
Well, I would argue the villains to Guy and yourself are you, because you're the ones that are making yourselves do it.
I mean, that is true. But Carrie Bradshaw is a type of a. I would say Carrie Bradshaw is probably the greatest villain that we've known in our cinematic universe. Although, and this is bad because I know he's super famous and I think he's in some big movies now. But the guy who was in We Are Your Friends, and the character's name is Paige. So I'm just gonna look him up. It's gonna be really funny when people hear who he is, because I'll be like, that guy's famous as hell. Do you want to take a guess at who it is? Do you know who it is?
I have no idea. The We Are Your Friends, is that the one with Zac Efron?
Yes, it is.
Other than that,
Efron, as we call him.
I cannot say I've seen the film.
That's you know what? You can go ahead and miss that one.
Oh yeah, you think?
Yeah. I don't think you need to see that. John Bernthal.
Ooh.
Who's Paige Morrell. So Okay, so quick little funny story. Guy and I were in the States to do some live shows during the We Are Your Friends season. I think where we just wrapped it. Maybe we were at the end and it was to do the final episode. So we had like had it up to here with those people from We Are Your Friends. And we were like, you know what? Let's go see a movie that isn't one of the punishment movies. Let's go to like a just unencumbered, enjoyable, escapist film. And we went and saw a movie called The Accountant, which was out at the time. And John Bernthal, unbeknownst to us, is like one of the co-stars of the movie. And it felt like the universe laughing at us. But I would say, yeah, for the two people who have seen it, Paige Morrell, a likable villain, a really likable villain. He's a bad guy and he's ripping people off. He's taking their houses from under them, who get in dire financial straits on their mortgages. But he's a baller, and there's something about that big dick energy that is just undeniably pretty charming.
Noted. You recently experienced Shrek for the first time. Yes?
I did.
And who would you rather have to go on a date with? Animated Shrek or live action Shrek from the musical?
Oh my God, animated Shrek every single time.
Oh yeah?
Musical Shrek was very scary to me. And I sort of tried to describe this phenomenon in the podcast. But it was quite difficult and I don't think I was getting it. So I'm not sure if that was down to my poor explanation or his lack of understanding, but there's something safe about like an animated character. There's a kind of, it's like reading a book where there's enough lack of detail that your brain fills certain information in. And in some ways, I almost feel like animated movies and animated series are a tiny bit like that as well, where there's not the full visual information. Like your brain is coloring in a little bit on top of what you're seeing there. And so that's kind of Shrek animated as sort of a safe creation that I've created a little bit in my head. But then to be confronted with a full-grown man, who was like 6'3" in prosthetics with a totally green painted face, who's singing at me while I'm sitting in the first row, that was entirely confronting and nauseating and scary, and I don't want to date that guy, but I would go to the ice cream parlor with animated Shrek.
I think that's also interesting in as much as, like, yes, I can completely understand. It's like almost an uncanny valley situation, but not quite. But also, Shrek in the musical is far nicer, but in the films, he's, an asshole, and so you would willingly date an asshole that you find more attractive, is what I'm hearing.
That is true and a very astute point. However, I would offer this. I think that Shrek in the animated series, whilst grumpier and a bit more self-centered, is at least reliable. Like he's a bit more solid and predictable, and you know what his motivations are. Whereas in the musical, you're like, the hell is going on with this guy? He's overly emotional. He's singing all the time. He's got all these desires that I didn't know the character had, and they're changing quite a bit, over the course of this 2-hour show. Me no likey, but the animated Shrek is a pretty consistent Oscar the Grouch type, and at least you know what you're getting there.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, consistency is key in any relationship.
Forthright. It's important.
On the Mike Myers kind of mode, why do you think Austin Powers is so sexy? What is it about the man?
It is a combination of confidence. It is like an unearned confidence. That's what's so sexy about it.
Is the fact that it's unearned?
Yeah. Well, when one is in high school and everyone's kind of trying to get laid, or a version of that. You might not be necessarily exactly trying to have sex, but you're trying to be attractive. You're trying to be a hot commodity. You're trying to get some sexual capital. And the thing that you learn, I think, when you get older is that confidence is almost, I would sort of say, the number one thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing more attractive than carrying yourself with a self-assured confidence. And I mean, that's Austin Powers, baby. He's a fish out of water. He got frozen in time. He's been woken up in the 90s and later the 2000s. And yet he carries this bubble of sexual allure with him because he's just so self-assured. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. And he's not attractive. He's dressed real crazy. He's kind of short, I think, which typically is, unfortunately, not a traditionally attractive value,
Mm-hmm.
or it wasn't in the 90s. We stand a short king now in 2022, thank God.
Yeah. Clearly,
But,
society has gotten so much better.
We've progressed. Look at us now. You know, Roe v. Wade may have been overturned, but we got our short kings, baby.
100%. So now comes the time where we begin improvising the film. And I'm going to hit this little button and get a random word. And the word is have. So that is the prompt. And that's a tricky one, but I think we can do it. So,
what are our parameters here?
It needs to be a movie that makes sense or is very funny. Those are kind of the two. The way where my mind goes right away is have and have nots. So I feel as though if it was some sort of rags to riches story, that could go pretty well.
Yes.
Or more, actually, may I change my mind? Riches to rags story of some sort of very rich person, I think would be cathartic in this day and age.
Do you now? I don't know if this is a genre that exists. Probably not, because people would get sued. But could you make a biopic that's about a person without their permission, but you change a lot of things, and you sort of take the existing real life character? Because what I'm thinking of is Kylie Jenner.
Okay, yeah, full on. Yep.
Is Kylie the right one? I'm very unfamiliar with the family.
I don't know.
Who's the youngest one?
I could not tell
Chloe?
you.
Let's
Khloe
go with
Kardashian.
Kylie. Let us play in the realm of Austin Powers of unearned confidence and say we are making a flick about
Kylie Jenner,
model, entrepreneur, Kylie Jenner.
Bon vivant.
Oh, what does that mean?
It's person of joy, someone who's a person about town.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Let's go with that. How do I say that again?
Bon vivant.
Bon vivant.
Yep. Bon
Kylie
vivant.
Jenner, 24 years old, a multi-millionaire.
Okay.
With two children. The whole thing is, on the face of it, she has it all because she's rich. But in actual fact, she doesn't. And then she loses all the material things, but then gains a beautiful understanding out of her lesser resources and what's actually important in life. So then she is rich again. So this is a riches to rags to riches story, starring someone else playing Kylie Jenner.
Yes.
And that person is
Samuel L. Jackson.
Correct. Because there's nothing the man can't do.
There's nothing the man can't do, and presumably won't do based off of his track record. So I think,
Okay.
He's been in some films that he was like, yes, I needed to buy a new house. Which
people need houses. People need houses.
People do need houses. People do be needing housing. So, all right. I like this. Rags to riches again. What's the inciting incident, do you think, that leads to the first downturn? I feel like
fireworks.
What did you say?
I said fireworks. It's the 4th of July.
Yes.
And Kylie Jenner wants to put on the best possible fireworks display, and so goes to an illegal fireworks store on the side of the road and basically buys the entire stall of fireworks because she's got so much money. This is chump change to her.
Yeah.
And creates herself this incredible fireworks display. However, because she lives, I'm assuming, in the Hollywood Hills, it goes awry and she sets fire essentially to the Hollywood Hills because of these dodgy fireworks.
I really like that, and as much as it doesn't just impact her, her hubris is so bad that like maybe even in the background throughout the entire film they keep talking about a forest fire that's gotten out of hand, and that it's like people even in Louisiana have to like their homes were just built and now they have to go for the opposite reason, and that seems like it was in bad taste. But in any event, I like that a lot. I think, do you know how old her kids are in real life? Can we make
In
them
the
adult?
movie,
In the movie, can they be adult children or are they kids?
they're adults
Yeah.
because it's a little bit metaphorical, and that is telling a story of how the expectations that are placed on small children who are in
Ooh.
these families that are in the spotlight of means they have to grow up too fast. And so despite the fact that in the straightforward sort of biographical sense of our timeline, her children are probably both under 5. In the movie, they are portrayed by
Zendaya.
Zendaya is one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and then the boy child is played by.
May I offer a name?
Yeah.
John Hamm,
Yes, that's correct.
fully bearded. Just
Zendaya and John Hamm portraying Kylie Jenner's 2 under 5s.
2 under 5s as Kylie Jenner portrayed by Samuel L. Jackson. I'm not sold on 100% on Sam Jackson. What do you think? Because it feels like a bit rude to be taking a role away from a woman.
No, I think we need to stand behind the decision that we've made.
Okay.
And we can't let these liberal cucks ruin our artistic vision of having Samuel L. Jackson play Kylie Jenner, a 24-year-old billionaire.
That's fair. That's fair. I would argue that any sort of billionaire is no longer any gender or race. They are only money.
They're just that's their identity.
Yeah, it's money.
Too much money.
It's too much money.
Accumulation of wealth.
For sure.
So the movie begins. We wake up in the Jenner household with Kylie's husband, Travis Scott, and their 2 kids, John Hamm and Zendaya. And by the way, Travis Scott is played by
Travis Scott.
Travis Scott portrays himself. He's the only person in this film who is played by himself.
Mm-hmm.
He wakes up in the bed next to Kylie Jenner, aka Samuel L. Jackson, and he decides to make pancakes. And Kylie gets a reminder on her phone that it is the 4th of July, and she has forgotten to get a fireworks display for her children, John Hamm and Zendaya, which is terrible. I mean, this is bad. This is a bad situation. This is kind of like, what's that Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he has to find the toy on Christmas Eve?
Oh, is it Jingle All the Way?
Yeah, nice one. I've watched that for the podcast. That should be in my head. So it's like Jingle All the Way, where there is sort of a race against time to get this holiday cracking. So Sam Jackson starts ringing around Walmart. Do they sell fireworks at Walmart?
Sometimes it's complicated. Okay. I have no idea about. I have no idea about California.
Right, so it's a state by state thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sam Jackson, aka Kylie Jenner, starts ringing around big box stores, being like, "Have you got any fireworks?" No, it's the 4th of July. We're sold out, of course.
Of course.
There's a lot of MFs in there because it's Samuel L. Jackson, so he's ad-libbing a lot of blue language that he is famous for. And then he gets in his Dodge Ram and just starts driving the streets of West Hollywood looking for any sign of fireworks.
Ooh. Can he then find a group of children that have acquired fireworks and steal them from children to make him even more villainous? for his comeuppance later and then take that back.
Yes, but would it not make more sense for the children to lead him to where they bought the fireworks from?
They bought all of them.
They bought all the fireworks.
They bought all the fireworks. Or maybe, I don't want to, I mean, this is a bad yes and. So yeah, they lead to where they got the fireworks. The kids lead Kylie Jenner to where the fireworks go and where they got them. And it's got to be like some crazy person that's making homemade fireworks. Yeah.
Wow. Here's the fun bit. And this is going to really shock people because it was unannounced by the studio. There was no warning of this because us, the filmmakers, we really wanted this to have an impact for people going and seeing the movie. But the person running the fireworks stall is Barack Hussein Obama, who has made a pivot from US president into producing series for Netflix. That hasn't quite worked out. So now he is trying his hand at acting in his first ever comedic turn on the big screen. It's President Obama selling illegal fireworks. Hilarious.
Yes. Absolutely hilarious. First question is, Kylie Jenner says, are these fireworks safe? And he goes, let me be clear. They are not. And she says, I don't care. And then grabs all of them and goes back to her home in the Hollywood Hills. I almost said Holiday Hills, like a Holiday Inn.
That's the name of her house. It's the Holiday Hills. It resides in the sort of area of the Hollywood Hills.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, yes, great. Great justification. Thank you very much. And then it just goes badly, I assume, and then things get lit on fire.
It doesn't just go badly. It goes terribly. So there's like, Sam Jackson's freaking out, aka Kylie Jenner, is all flutter because it's a very stressful situation. It's the 4th of July. The sun is setting. Everyone else has got their barbecues and their displays ready. And so Kylie races around, gets this display up all by herself, aka it's Sam Jackson, remember? Makes this beautiful kind of outline of it's a very intricate picture of the world made out of fireworks, and all the wicks are tied together. So this thing is going to look spectacular. And in Kylie Jenner's brain, they're all going to go off at once. So an image of planet Earth and all the planets will be like projected into the sky via fireworks at once. That's not how it goes down, though, because when all the wicks are tied together, it creates such a massive amount of heat that instead of the fireworks doing what they're supposed to do, which is shoot their little chambers up into the air, they just kind of turn into like an improvised explosive device and blow up on the ground. And so we get this huge fireball that engulfs the house, creating an incredibly white hot fire from all the magnesium and other stuff that's in the fireworks. And baby, we got a fire burning now.
Magnificent.
It's hot.
It's very hot, very good, and done completely practically.
Yes, we're going to burn down the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah.
This is going to be a very expensive movie.
But it'll be absolutely worth it because the messaging is so clear that money is the root of all evil. And so us spending the money to give people that lesson clearly, is the right thing to do.
I think it's not just morally justifiable, but imperative that we make the movie in this way.
I agree. So that tragedy befalls Kylie Jenner, aka Samuel L. Jackson, and
unfortunately, it's immediately apparent that Kylie did it because she live streamed the whole thing on her phone. So there's no plausible deniability whatsoever. Like every other moment of her life, this is broadcast to the global audience of hundreds of millions of people who are watching her basically write her own, prison sentence.
So does she then go to prison?
She goes to prison. She goes
fully to prison.
Yeah, I mean, people died in this. This is a comedy movie, but like, a lot of people lost their lives in that fireworks explosion fire. and it cost a lot of people their homes and their livelihoods. So now we're in the second act of the movie, which is Kylie Jenner goes to jail. And it's sort of a buddy film, a buddy comedy, because she meets her cellmate, played by
Melissa McCarthy.
Correct, who is in there, strangely, also for arson. So they've both got that going for them.
Yeah. Perfect. And so clearly they bond over it.
Yeah, they both love
fire. They love fire. They love playing with it. I think Melissa McCarthy, what did she burn down?
By the way, the name of the movie is Playing with Fire.
Perfect.
And so that's, in the second act, that's when we actually get to hear it's Melissa McCarthy actually says that. We love these moments, folks. Don't we love these moments where one of the characters says the name of the film out loud?
Love it.
She
Big.
Says, sounds like you were playing with fire.
Bum bum. Super. I like that a lot. I think Melissa McCarthy should have been like arson for vengeance sake, if that makes sense. Like
yes, that's her backstory.
Yeah,
she was wronged by her ex-husband.
Exactly. I think it's got to be something kind of blasé that doesn't, because it's a comedy film. We sure,
he kept leaving the toilet seat up, and he simply would not learn.
That is so relatable. And
so she burned the house down.
I've never heard anyone complain about that before, Tim. Groundbreaking. Truly.
I'm a noted comedy genius.
Truly. I like that a lot. And then, do they break out of prison? Because they must, surely, because they can't just the movie can't, it could be them just being in prison the rest of the time.
Yeah, no, this is the really sad thing. They sort of do break out of prison. So they concoct this plan. It's a little bit similar to Shawshank Redemption, where they're actually both in there for quite a while. Kylie Jenner, aka Sam Jackson, is trying to win the trust of the prison guards and inmates for her own protection and the advancement of this escape plan. So this is 3 years in the making. 3 years Kylie Jenner has been in jail, away from her kids, John Hamm and Zendaya, who now are a little bit older.
Should they be played by different actors, just so it's clear that they're older?
It did occur to me, but I think that both of those people have the acting chops to pull it off. We can age them up a little bit with makeup.
Okay, I accept. I like that. I think so. Now, another question. Alternatively to that is, do we want to do a Boyhood situation where we film it over the course of 3 years? That prison sequence.
Yes, which sadly means Samuel L. Jackson has to live in a prison for 3 years.
He's a man of his craft.
He is. He's gone method on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So we have, for no, I think justifiable reason, put one of America's premier black male actors in a jail for 3 years.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, it's truly unfortunate. It had occurred to me as I was saying. I was like, damn.
And, it's a message about society, but we don't need to dwell too much on that in this lighthearted comedy about murderous arson. So here's the escape plan.
Yes.
Samuel L. Jackson figures out that there is a shift change at 3 a.m. every night, and also figures out that on every 29th of February, the security cameras stop working if it's a leap year, because they haven't ever been programmed to know what a leap year is. So they kind of wig out. Now, luckily, it's the year 2022, baby. It's a leap year, I'm pretty sure. And so that means we've got a February 29th coming up.
Hell yeah.
Because it was the 4th of July in 2021. So it all stacks up.
Yeah, it's all fine.
There is one chance to pull this off at 3 a.m. on the morning of the 29th of February in the leap year 2022. So Kylie Jenner, aka Samuel L. Jackson, takes his chance with Melissa McCarthy, and they try to scale the fence. And Sam Jackson, aka Kylie Jenner, makes it, Melissa, the prison inmate, does not. She's viciously killed by dogs.
I was gonna say by attack dogs, eh?
Yeah,
Oh,
totally
terrible.
by dogs.
Uh,
Now we're into Act 3.
we are into Act 3, and this is where Kylie has to go to her children and apologize, I assume, and try and make
Yes.
good.
Yes.
And so I would have. How about
And
this?
they've lost everything. So their original life is they were living in this beautiful palatial home,
Mhm.
private school, help,
Mhm.
gardeners, butlers, all of this.
Yes.
They've been reduced to nothing because of all the lawsuits, taking all the wealth to try and rebuild these houses and make people whole again.
It's so sad. But Jimmy Carter's there and he's helping build those houses. God bless him.
He's the one doing it, and it is slow because the man is old,
And
but he's doing
tiny.
his best. Yeah.
I'll say this as well. I think there should be a moment where Kylie Jenner, aka Samuel L. Jackson, shows up and her family does not want anything to do with her. They're clearly upset.
Yeah.
So, what Kylie Jenner, aka Samuel L. Jackson, does is respond to a notice about them needing a nanny.
Yes.
And
yes.
she
Love
Mrs.
it.
Doubtfired herself, but in reverse, where she's doing drag as a man. So we have Sam
Yes.
Jackson pretending to be a woman, pretending to be a man.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason they need a nanny is because Travis Scott is sort of in a Bob Dylan situation where he's in so much financial trouble. He's on the road touring.
Yeah.
Like 24/7. He can't even see his kids. It's quite sad. It's
quite sad. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mrs. Doubtfire third act of this film. It's where a lot of the laughs are. We've had 2 former presidents so far. We've had a lot of death. We've had prison. We've had fires. But now it's time for a bit of lighthearted fun as we get to know the new nanny who is calling. Now, sorry, hisself,
yeah.
Monsieur. What was the thing you said at the top?
Bon vivant.
Bon vivant.
And Sam Jackson is doing a wonderful French accent the whole time.
Absolutely.
And he's like, Zut ta motherfucking law.
Exactly.
And I think that's how they realize that it's Kylie in disguise. Is he like stumps his toe and he goes motherfucker, and they're like, Mom?
Yes. Yeah. Kylie Jenner's famous line, motherfucker. And by that stage, they've been under the wardship of Monsieur Bon Vivant for the last 4 months and have absolutely fallen in love with this nanny.
Yeah.
And so then to discover the very complicated situation that it is their biological mom that has been in prison for the last 3 years and they weren't ready to forgive, it has opened up the chance of communication. And it has displayed how much Kylie Jenner cares about her children, Zendaya and John Hamm. I can't remind people enough that that is the family we're working with.
Yeah.
What do we close on, Tristan? What's the final scene of this movie to kind of put a bit of a bow on it?
I think the final scene is them all driving down to the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles, California. That's being newly rebuilt because of the fire for a fireworks show. And the lesson is go to free public events and commune with your community. That's why it's called that.
Yes.
And not hoard all the fireworks for yourself. Otherwise, you're going to blow it up.
That's a beautiful message.
I think so as well. I think it's absolutely worth burning down most of America for in, the course. I think the cast is undeniable. I think Sam Jackson may receive an Academy Award nomination for the complex character that he's portraying, specifically in the third act.
You want to know who's going to score it?
Ooh.
Hans Zimmer.
Ooh. I love that. I love an ambient woodwind.
Yes. Yeah.
I love ambient
He's done
woodwind.
comedies.
He does. Yeah, he has. Road to El Dorado.
Really?
Yep. It's
Hans Zimmer did Road to El Dorado.
yeah, Zimmer and Elton John did Road to El Dorado, and it was promoted as the team that gave you the music from The Lion King. And
That
it's
is
like,
a lot of steps to walk through.
yeah, it is. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess so. I like that. Do you have a specific director in mind? Someone's
David
style.
Fincher. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, that'd be good.
I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? When you've got all of these elements together,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I just was not expecting such a dramatic auteur for this arson comedy we've made.
We have created a genre. He's branching out, much
Mm.
like Barack Hussein Obama.
Oh, can we get a third former president? Do you think?
Yeah, I hope it's not the one you're thinking of, who has been in movies before.
Oh no. I had that thought. I was like, no. I feel like if Clinton was doing the opening remarks at the fireworks show.
Who else is we got anyone else?
Who else is alive?
Maybe not.
George Bush Sr.?
Did he die?
Did he die?
Did he? Is he here?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
George H.W. Bush died on the 30th of November 2018. So sadly, unless we resurrect his corpse, he will not be joining us for Playing with Fire.
What about we get CGI Lincoln?
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, did you say George W? What about George W. Jr.?
Oh yeah, we could get
George
Jr.
W. Bush.
Yeah, we could get.
He's kicking around. He's palling around with Alan. Ellen DeGeneres has funded this film, so maybe that was one of the stipulations: is that her buddy GWB has got to be in the flick somewhere.
Now you all know I like painting, but now we're gonna paint in the sky with fireworks. Go Americans!
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And now this is a movie for everyone.
Yep.
Conservatives, liberals, Democrats, Republicans. There's a president for y'all.
Everybody.
In this flick.
100%.
Hawks,
I think
doves. You know, Jimmy Carter's in this movie. He's got to be one of the most anti-war presidents there's been in the last little while.
I agree. He's got to be. So I love our movie Playing with Fire. And you want to do a quick lightning round?
Yes, I would love to.
Okay. So the page refreshed itself. So we have coffee is the prompt. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I would like you to go first.
Okay. So coffee is about a guy who has something caught in his throat after going to a coffee shop, and he has a particle stuck in his throat that is much like Osmosis Jones, a sentient being that slowly takes over his body and causes him to commit embezzlement as his Fortune 500 company.
Wow.
Yeah. We got there. And it's called Coffee, but with a Caughy.
That's really neat.
Thank you.
I like that. And very in the zeitgeist of this post-COVID world, or currently COVID world.
Yes, forever. Post, pre, and infinitum. What is your coffee film, Tim?
My coffee film centers around a mysterious figure known only as Coffee Guy, who frequents cafes around the city of New York and solves crimes. No one quite knows who he is, but he keeps popping up on security camera footage in the wake of crimes. And the New York City Police Department start piecing together that this guy appears to be everywhere where there's pretty serious shit going down. So they start a manhunt for him because they start tying together that he is responsible for all of these heinous acts of violence that are happening. Unbeknownst to them, he is a vigilante. He is more of a Batman figure than a Joker. So now it's a race against the clock. Can Coffee Guy get the evidence required to put the real man behind bars, a la The Fugitive? And yes, the real culprit is a one-armed man. Or will he run out of time before he can catch the perpetrator red-handed and bring the evidence to police and himself be too far implicated and thrown in jail in some sort of political act of expedience by the police department who are trying to bring safety upon the people of NYC.
Mm.
The ending will shock you. Coffee.
I like it a lot. I will say there's one problem with it, and that's famously New York police are phenomenal at their job.
That's
like, there's
true.
no one better. Like, how could they possibly have the wool pulled over their eyes?
You're
in
right.
Such a
It's
manner.
too much. Who could suspend disbelief that the New York's finest couldn't solve a crime?
The next word I have is pottery. Pottery. I would say this is about. I mean, okay, pottery is about someone who works at a pottery barn, which is a store we have here in the States. It's like a knick-knack shop and like a craft store. So it's about someone that works there. They're up for the big promotion. They're really nervous about it. They don't get it because a new person who's just been hired about 2 weeks prior to the events of the film gets it instead because they're secretly sleeping with the boss, and they have to prove that there's a conflict of interest there. But in doing so, they fall in love with the person that got the promotion. And now it's like a romantic triangle, I suppose.
Yes.
Yes. What
I
about
like that
you?
there's embezzlement in this movie about pottery, but it's just not two things that I would like tie together, you know? I like that. I like that a
Thank
lot.
you.
So Pottery is a sequel to Ghost, but it's an adult film, and it's essentially just the scene where the ghost is over Demi Moore.
I cannot tell you the person's name in that scene. It's Patrick Swayze's the ghost, right?
Yeah. I know Whoopi Goldberg is in it, but I'm pretty sure Demi Moore is the sort of the central character, love interest, and she is on the pottery wheel. And this is it gets incredibly pornographic, and that's the whole flick.
Perfect.
It's a sequel to a movie. The original was a sort of a romantic. You wouldn't call it a horror, but I mean, there is a freaking ghost in it. It's called Ghost.
There is a paranormal romance.
Thank you. Perfect.
Yeah.
First movie is a paranormal romance. Second movie, paranormal porno.
You'd love to see it. Amazing. We have KNOT. I would say this is about a family of Italian immigrants who work in New York City at their own pizza place, and times are hard and they're struggling, and what saves them is they uncover an old Nana's recipe for garlic knots. You see, and they're imbued with ancient Italian magic, and it goes off gangbusters, and everyone
ancient Italian magic.
Yes, ancient Italian magic. What's up, abracadabra, and it goes off gangbusters. Everyone loves these garlic knots, but the problem is it starts turning everyone Italian.
Whoa!
And then so
Can't have that.
Cannot have that. So everyone slowly starts turning Italian, and then they have to figure out how to stop it.
What? Okay, because obviously we can't have the whole world being Italian. It simply wouldn't work.
Well, I mean, I think it would be fine long term, but I feel like people would be upset that their identities were taken away.
Yeah, that's fair. Sort of a homogenous version of the human race. Okay. So what is it called? Not.
It's called Not. Yeah.
My version of Not is about a massage therapist for elite sports people.
Yeah.
And athletes, some refer to them as. And it is a beautiful coming of age story of discovery about a physical therapist who is 38 years old, who's just broken up with his husband and is trying to work through the pain, throwing himself into his work, and falls in love with the quarterback from the LA. I thought it would come. Can you name any?
The Minnesota Vikings. Does that help?
I'm keeping it in LA, baby.
I lie.
The Rams?
I cannot tell you. I'm sorry.
I'm going to
Sure.
go with the LA Rams. The quarterback
Perfect.
from the LA Rams. The quarterback from the LA Rams is so the massage therapist, by the way, is played by Timothy Chalamet, and the quarterback is played by John Cena. And John Cena in this movie has a beautiful wife, 3 children, but he falls in love with the massage therapist as well. It's very complicated, adult, romantic drama, exploring the decisions we all have to make about pursuing our own happiness or protecting the happiness of our families. And John Cena's character's exploration of his own identity and sexuality at an older age than you might expect. He has to confront the fact that he has fallen in love with a man for the first time, and all of the beautiful complications that involves, particularly when you are a quarterback for the Los Angeles Rams.
I like it. I like it a lot. Do you want to do one more?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Clique.
Clique,
which is, of course, the French version of the Adam Sandler film Click.
I was going to say exactly that.
Yeah, so I feel like I jumped on that grenade for both of us, so now we can both come up with an actual.
Clique to me is about a little French robot.
Oh, yes. What does the robot do?
The robot has the job of making children happy. It's like Short Circuit. So these things come off the assembly line and they've got a new computer chip in them, which is quite experimental, and it accelerates the AI functions of the robot so that it can kind of it's like a Furby on steroids. It seems like it's learning, and it kind of learns how to talk to your kids and play with them nicely and stuff. But one of them is accidentally wired incorrectly and forms a consciousness.
Ooh.
And that one's name is Johnny Six. And Johnny Six then goes on a adventure across the United States while it is pursued by the NSA, who are trying to destroy it because they think it's dangerous. And Johnny Six is trying to prove that he is sentient and cool, a cool guy.
And just a cool dude.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I have never seen Short Circuit, but I assume it's fun. I think Clique is a French drama about a family the mother has died in a car crash because she did not clique her belt.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, it's not great. It's in fact very bad. And so it's about this now single father dealing with the death of his wife and the mother of his child, played by Zendaya. And the father is, of course, played by Jean Reno, not John Hamm, but John Hamm is involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's DP.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like just one of the producers. Yeah. But yeah, Jean Reno and Zendaya have to navigate this new world without their mom/wife, and it's heartbreaking. Great note to end a comedy podcast on.
Yeah, and dang, what a title for a movie of that subject matter.
Clique.
Should have made it Clique.
Yep, exactly.
Horrible.
Absolutely terrible, and I would say bad taste.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But you know what? This is the art of filmmaking, baby. We're exploring dark territory. We are plumbing the depths of our creativity, and sometimes it gets kind of dark.
Yes. Now, is there anything that you would like the listeners to know that you have coming up, about you, blah, 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 where to find you?
I would love, if people have enjoyed this conversation, to check out my main podcast called Worst Idea of All Time. which I've now been doing with my friend Guy Montgomery, New Zealand comedian, for 8 years.
Oh my gosh, congrats.
Thanks. I don't know
Yeah.
if congrats is, I don't know if it's to be congratulated. It's almost to be commiserated in a way.
How about this? Wow. You really did it.
That was the perfect face and tone. Yes, that's correct. But look, as we mentioned at the top, Guy and I watched the same movie over and over again. We've diverged into some other territory when we've got bored. We went to the Cats film that came out a couple of years ago, Every Day for a Week, with some comedian friends. We currently are engaged in a project called Killionaire, where we are trying to plot how to get one of the world's billionaires to $1 trillion and then murder them so we can distribute their funds to humanity at large. And we've got a new season coming up soon, which is going to be really fun.
Good. I'm glad. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. I have nothing else to say except for thank you very much, Tim, for your time and your ideas.
It's been a real pleasure. And so what's the copyright situation on these ideas? Are that like
first one to stab the other person gets to keep them?
Wow. My question was more about if listeners steal one of these, what would happen? But okay, so you interpret that as more of a
I assumed you wanted to fight me for the rights to make the film.
to make Playing with Fire?
Yeah, to make Playing with Fire.
I do actually. That one sounds like it'd be a box office smash.
Yeah, I think so as well. As far as the copy, I mean, you can say now, this is my intellectual property. I don't know if it'll hold up in court, but
damn it, you already said it. You already said those exact words.
Oh no. I'll bleep out mine and then now you can say.
I own the intellectual property associated with the film Playing with Fire, starring Samuel L. Jackson, John Hamm, Zendaya, Jimmy Carter, President Clinton, President George W. Bush, and Travis Scott.
And Barack Hussein Obama as well?
And Barack Hussein Obama.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
What started as a stupid anachronistic joke at Bill O'Reilly's expense, I feel now has just come across terribly, which is why I keep saying Hussein. People might not remember that, but Bill O'Reilly made a real point of reminding you what the H stood for.
Oh, yeah. No. I think that's clear. I think specifically, at least in my parlance, the Griffin McElroy's use of it over and over again has cemented as like a bit to bring up his middle name. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, he shares the same middle name as Jesus. So, Jesus Hussein Christ,
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Yeah. That's what the H stands for. Anyway, again, thank you very much for doing this, Tim. I appreciate your time, ideas, and positive attitude.
Take care, everybody. Stay safe and make it click.